now let's talk a little bit about the technology. This whole idea of the semantic web and Web 3.0, and this whole idea of this is some of the stuff I've pulled off the web. But this whole idea of ubiquitous connectivity, this broadband adoption, mobile internet access, mobile devices. I've got a session later today on mobile devices and mobile internet access, and I'll talk about some of the emerging 4G technologies, LTE and WiMAX. But this whole idea, we really need ubiquitous connectivity or constant connectivity, I think, is required right now as we shift to these intelligent web and these intelligent web-based applications. And this is a really neat, this is a graph from Source Radar Networks. It's a few years old now, but I think it's pretty interesting. It kind of shows the track of where we're going, where we've been, moving through the PC era. And I think most of us here probably went through that PC era either in the classroom or maybe working at a business or when you're in college, up through Web 1.0, Web 2.0, shifting into this the semantic web, and some of the neat things that are going to happen as we continue to move forward. But it all requires bandwidth. It requires a lot of bandwidth. It requires broadband, and I want to make sure we remember that. This is a Pew study, the Internet in 2020, mobile devices. I'll be talking more about mobile devices again later today. But it's going to be the primary connection tool. So our students are going to be walking around with, they already are, mobile devices. Voice recognition, touch user interfaces. You got small devices. They don't have big, giant keyboards. So you're going to have different kinds of interfaces to control it and use these devices. The division between personal time and work time, between physical and virtual reality, will be further erased, and we probably already realize that now, right? We're all pretty connected, I think, with our email 7 days a week. The only time we're not is when we're sleeping. Next generation engineering of the network is going to improve the current internet architecture. It's more likely than an effort to rebuild the architecture from scratch, and this could put us at an advantage in the United States, where greenfield installations, countries coming in with brand new installations are really kind of kicking our butts right now because they can come in with the latest and greatest and fastest stuff, and we're still trying to deal in a lot of cases with copper wires that were installed 100 years ago. How are things changing? And this is there's a great book. Martin Sauter wrote it on Beyond. It's called Beyond 3G, and he's a blog. This is his blog link. He's a great blogger. He's one of my favorite authors, actually. But talk about the web as a platform. We've been talking about cloud computing. I know Carl's going to talk about some of this stuff in a little bit too. But the applications are no longer going to be installed locally. They're going to be downloaded. They're going to be run in web browsers. We're seeing that right now. Data used by these apps gets stored on a server on the network, so you can access this information, access these applications, access this content from any device, which is pretty cool. Having both apps and data on the network means each can change and evolve independently without the classic software release cycle. So we're shifting away from that, and we're seeing that. We're seeing some of that here at Microsoft. We saw some of that in the presentation yesterday on Azure. But Web 2.0 apps are commonly referred to as services, and you've probably heard the term software as a service, or SaaS, used. That's a pretty popular business term right now. Popular cloud platforms, Azure, which is Microsoft's product that's not out yet. It's in beta right now, pre-release, but I think that's going to be a pretty nice product for Microsoft. There's the Google App Engine, and Amazon Web Services are competing products. So these are things that I think we got to start looking at in our classrooms. Harnessing collective intelligence. So many of these services now exist on the web because of user participation, including apps like Yelp. Mike demoed Urban Spoon on the iPhone. You can go to the Urban Spoon website on a PC. Wikipedia. It's user-generated. The users supported content. Blogs are also a central element. and the whole concept of disintermediation, which is a word that I really like. Everybody can be a publisher now. Everybody can be a broadcaster. You don't have to work for a newspaper to write content that people find and read and recognize. You can, create audio podcasts and make videos and post them up on YouTube. This is really the age of disintermediation. And I think this is, again, I haven't mentioned this, but this is a very historical time. We're kind of living through this right now. Huh? Disintermediation. Actually, the person I've heard first use it is a guy by the name of Paul Gillen, who's a big social media guy in Boston. But it means you're disconnected from, well, use a radio station example. You don't have to work for a radio station to create audio content and post audio content and have people listen to it.
It means not using a travel agent.
Is that what it means? Okay. Well, yeah, who uses travel agents anymore? But so everyone can be a publisher, everybody can be a broadcaster, everybody can create content, which again is, that's pretty cool, I think. Data is the next Intel inside. Current services offer both information and the possibility for users to enhance a database or be the actual creator of most of the information. And this is really one of the approaches Microsoft has taken with the Azure product. So a user has control, and what happens is the user sort of can customize the functionality of an application and the kind of data they're looking at and the way they're looking at the data. It's just different. It's just not the way it's been done in the past. End of the software release cycle. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Since software is not locally installed, there are technically no longer different versions of the software that have to be maintained, so users no longer need to upgrade applications. I'm a big Google Docs fan. It changes all the time. I don't know. They're adding new features. Sometimes I don't find out about them maybe a month later, but it's transparent to the user. They've done an upgrade on an app, and if I find it, I find it. If I don't, I don't. But I don't have to do the install on my machine. Lightweight programming modules. The interface is use something called loose coupling. The interfaces are no longer complex protocol stacks for information exchange. No service descriptions, no security requirements to protect the exchange of data. So it's very open, lightweight, access and control. Which can be dangerous, though. You start to get into things like security issues. But the advantage, and I think the advantage for most developers anyways, outweighs the disadvantage. You can quickly develop apps for these kinds of things. Software above the level of a single device. The Web 2.0 apps and services are distributed. Software gets downloaded from the network each time the user visits the service's web page. So they're, again, above that level of a single device. iTunes is a good example of a hybrid application. It's a traditional program. It's accessing a database that's created by media companies. You can access it on your desktop machine. You can access it on an iPod or an iPhone. So it's an app that's been designed to run on different devices. The biggest thing, and we're all seeing this now too, is the static web page stuff is gone. The Web 1.0 stuff is gone. I think a lot of people are still locked into that the Web 1 kind of apps, but there's so much more richness and so much more features just to be able to collect information and organize information and aggregate information in different ways on different devices using different applications is really pretty powerful stuff when your students see it. I was talking to somebody last night, or somebody mentioned in one of the presentations, I think yesterday, how she showed her students how to use RSS feeds. And just a simple thing, took about 5 minutes, but that's the one thing she felt, the biggest takeaway they took out of this class. And most of her students were not using using RSS, or they may be using it in Facebook and places like that, not realizing they could also use it for technical content. We have a summer conference running in Orlando, Florida, July 26th through the 29th. There's 2 days of pre-con workshops, and then there's 2 days of the actual conference, and that's in Orlando. If anybody's interested in attending. And I wanted to say thanks again. Don't forget the evaluations.